Beer Friday! This is Local SEO Tactics, where we help local service businesses dissect some of the key tactics and strategies for getting ranked in search engines and increasing your visibility online. Thanks for checking us out. This is our first Beer Friday episode. It's kind of fun, drinking some beer, answering a question about Google My Business suspensions. We're going to go through in this episode a few tips on how to get your business reinstated if it gets suspended, and some things that can cause that suspension in the first place. So take some notes. Hopefully you're not going to have to encounter this, but if you do, this will help you get back up and running as fast as possible. And with that, let's dive right into the episode. If you've got your own beer at home, I suggest you grab one yourself and play along. Hey everyone, welcome back to Local SEO Tactics, and today we've got a special episode for you. We're gonna do our first Beer Friday episode.
Woo, Beer Friday!
Who doesn't like beer? Who doesn't like Friday? And who doesn't like marrying those with local SEO tactics?
That's right.
So, we're gonna kick this off. We're gonna do our first one here today, and we're gonna enjoy a beer from Baldman Brewery, which is right next door to our recording studio here in Eagan, Minnesota. And this is a Tupelo Honey. According to their website here, it's a brown ale, 6.4% ABV. It's got a. This is not me. If you're going to get my description, it would say it was cold and it was good. But on their website, and this is good stuff, it's multi-backbone followed by a smooth, sweet honey finish, brewed with local Minnesota honey. And it's pretty good. So we thought that'd be a good one to kick it off with. Open it up here for you.
That's sealed.
It's sealed. Hold on.
Always carry a large knife with you when you can.
Bigger the better.
That's right. All right, here we go. Even sounds good. I won't be partaking today, folks. I've got a baseball game. I've got an assistant coach in, and I've got to have my A game. So yeah. I will probably the next time we do.
Got a baseball game to spectate, so
that's right.
I'll have some for you guys. And that's damn fine. No, so we're going to do this, just try to enjoy a beer and kind of break down some stuff. Usually we're going to try to make sure we're focusing on a customer-driven question or a listener-driven question here for Beer Friday. So today we're going to be talking about Google My Business and suspended listings.
Yep.
Hopefully, a good percentage of you guys out there have not had a listing get suspended, but it happens. So we're going to go through real quick some of the reasons the listing can get suspended, and what do you do when it gets suspended to reinstate it. So there's kind of a few main reasons why businesses usually get suspended. Sometimes it's inadvertent. Sometimes you might be going a little too far in some of the tactics of using the Google's rules. So one of the more common reasons is you select your business to be a local service business. So in your GMB listing, you have basically two check boxes. One that says, yes, I'm a local service business, which means you go to customers' places, if you will. It could be a residence, could be their business, whatever it is.
Window washing service or plumbers or whatever.
Great example. It means you go to them. The other box that you check is that you have a storefront, that customers come to you. Now, when you check the box for being a local service area business, your address is not shown on Google Maps. And sometimes that can kind of suppress you in the listings, or maybe doesn't make you look as attractive, right? So it can be kind of enticing to check the box that's saying you are a storefront, because that will actually show your address and in some cases give you more exposure or a better ranking in GMB. However, if you really don't service customers at your storefront, if you don't have a storefront, that's going to get you penalized in Google, and they can suspend your listing. So if you really don't service business, So if you really don't have a storefront and have customers coming to your place, that's a box you're going to want to leave unchecked, and you're going to be safe. Another reason you can have your business suspended is if you're what they would maybe consider like a risky or maybe even a shady business. And that can be not so much about your actual business itself, but you can be in an industry where people really try to make fake listings, right? And so they kind of one bad apple spoils the bunch. Locksmiths is one that's pretty common. You may be a legitimate locksmith out there, but there could be 3 or 4 people trying to compete with you locally that are not legitimate. They're just kind of trying to do rank and rent websites or just fake listings in general. And you can unfortunately get lumped into that. So if you're in one of those types of businesses, let's see some other ones here.
Lawyers? Are they kind of crack down?
Lawyers can sometimes get lumped into that. If you deal with regulated goods, alcohol, pharmaceuticals, supplements, fireworks, things like that, weapons, just things that are, activities that people that could be fraudulent or scam artists could kind of pop up and do some stuff quick. So if you're in that territory, sometimes you might get nicked for getting suspended, but you shouldn't be. And at the end here, we're going to go through the process on how, if you are suspended, how to get reinstated. So first, we're going to go through about 5 scenarios where you can get suspended, and then we're going to kind of give you the good news on what to do after that. Another reason your business might get taken down is if you have multiple listings for the same business. Now, this one can get kind of tricky. Sometimes maybe you did this, maybe not so much on purpose, but as an accident. If you moved, if another person in your company maybe created a listing. But sometimes we've seen listings kind of get auto-generated. Maybe you have a GMB that you created for your business, and somehow maybe a Google Plus profile got automatically created, maybe off like a Yelp listing or some other business directory before. Bottom line, if Google thinks that you're trying to do it, as a business, they're going to suspend the listing.
Right.
Even if you didn't create it, even if you're not the account owner, it doesn't really matter. If they think it's severe enough, they'll suspend your listing. A good way to kind of proof that out is to do some searches with your address. Just go to Google and type in your address and search, or your phone number and search, or your business name, or whatever exact phrase you're using for your GMB listing. Search that. And if you've seen multiple results, definitely take action on that to prevent this from happening and kind of get out in front of it. And when I say that, it's not just on the Google search, but also go into Google Maps. And that's where you're going to get all your GMB listings on the left-hand side. Do these same searches in the Google Maps search. So you can particularly see if there's multiple GMB listings or not. If you have one that looks like a duplicate of your business, and if you don't own it, you can claim it. And we talked about that back in actually episode 1 of our podcast. The very first episode that we did was talking about how to claim and verify and get your GMB up and running. So if you do find multiples out there for yourself, go ahead and do that. I would caution you, maybe set up a second Google My Business account when you do that, though. If you have 2 listings out there and you're owning one of them, if you try to claim that second one, now you're literally bringing that duplicate into, your GMB account. A little bit more risky, because now you're kind of putting up a red flag. Not only are there 2 of them out there, that now you actually are claiming both of them. So what I would recommend is to set up a second GMB account, claim that second listing, and then report it as closed or report it to Google. There's different ways you can go about that once you're in that listing to communicate that to them. But take that one down. Another reason we've seen GMBs get suspended is either incorrect or frequent changes, to your listing. If you're going up there, maybe if you're putting the wrong suite number, right, or maybe a misspelling of the street, other things that are pure accidents on your part,
right,
but they might look like you're trying to, spam it or kind of game the system. Those can get you flagged. You definitely don't want to be making tons of changes to the same, field, right? If maybe you're changing your name or tweaking that, or again, your address. Don't change that 5 times over the course of 2 days. I mean, they look like you're up to it looks like you're up to no good, in the eyes of Google. Something as simple and possibly as innocent as that can definitely get you flagged as well.
So, quick question. We talk to a lot of our listeners in terms of, maintaining their GMB listing.
Yeah.
And going in every, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
So that's acceptable.
Yeah, that's fine.
Going every 2 or 3 weeks and just kind of tweaking it. It's just just pounding it every day type of a thing is not.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff you can do on a regular basis. You can do Google Posts. You can upload photos and videos and things like that. But if you're messing with your address, your name, your phone number, and maybe your business categories, there's just a lot of upheaval there.
Yeah.
That just kind of looks funny, right? Like if you were really trying to be a stable, legitimate business, why would you be changing this stuff that often? So just kind of bear that in mind if you're trying to set some stuff up, or maybe you're claiming one of these, or whatever the case is. If you're in there frequently changing those same fields, just kind of give that a rest and take your time. You can space that out over a couple days and be safer. You just don't want to raise, any red flags in that area. Another thing that can get you busted and get you suspended from GMB is the website address that you're going to put in there. Google wants us to be a real business, right? This is a Google My Business listing. So if you're trying to do things fake or redirecting things, they're going to catch on to that and they're going to suspend you for that. So an example of that would be is the website that you can list in your GMB. If that address quickly forwards to another URL, let's just say if it's a lawyer, if it's, bobslawyer.com is your actual, domain name. If for some reason, your actual domain name in your GMB listing, I should say, if that forwards to, what's a big nationwide lawyer deal?
Let's say Lexington Law, or not to pick on Lexington Law, but let's just use them hypothetically.
Yeah. Then if it went to bobslawyer.com or whatever, and then quickly forwarded to Lexington Law, Google's going to look at that and say, well, why did you have to do that? Why didn't you just put Lexington Law in there in the first place? It was kind of fishy, right?
Right.
It looks kind of scammy, so you're going to get taken down for that. So those are just some quick examples, and there's some other ones too, but those are kind of the main ones that we've seen. Good news is if you do get suspended, you can get reinstated. It's not a guarantee, but there are a couple different ways you can go about that. The first one is obviously recommended by Google. We're going to cover that. It's to go out and basically use their Google local business reinstatement request form. The URL for this thing is just ridiculous. I'm not going to read it off, so we'll put a link to it in the show notes. So check that out, and you can use this if you need to. But basically, you got to go through and answer their questionnaire, which almost is kind of reversal of their terms and conditions, and guidelines. So they're going to ask you, is this yours? What's your phone number? They're going to verify some information. They're going to say, did you check the boxes for local service area business and, face-to-face business and things like that. And then the bottom, so you're going to go through all that and answer it honestly and accurately. And then at the bottom, there's going to be two fields of basically like, what did you do to correct your listing? So it was suspended, and this.
Right.
You're asking us to reinstate it. There should be a change you made. You're right. So now in the off chance that everything was absolutely perfect and you were completely wrongly suspended, tell them that in there. Tell them I didn't change anything, or maybe, give them the context of what you think happened, but then tell them this is all legitimate. Please reinstate me. But if you did make some changes, be very specific. Actual people review these, and they need to see what action was taken. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to use some keywords into my GMB business name. Now it's just my actual business name.
Right.
Please forgive me. It's accurate. We're good to go. You're going to submit that form. And I would say usually within 24 hours, you're going to hear back, from a Google representative via email. This is only an email thing. Sometimes it can take 2 to 3 days though. We've seen it take that long as well. So don't freak out, if you're not getting an immediate response, but also don't expect a response, within a couple hours. I mean, within 24 hours is what you should expect. They're going to reply one of two ways. Hey, we got you back up. You're reinstated. Or they're going to say that you're not reinstated. You're still suspended. Unfortunately, 99.9% of the time, they ain't going to tell you why.
Right. You got to guess.
Yeah, they're just going to say you violated our guidelines or our best practices, things like that. If you get somebody that's just having a great day and for some reason they want to throw you a little nugget as to what it was, we've seen that included helping out clients, but more often than not, they're not going to tell you. They're going to basically take the stance of, you know what you did. They want to see that corrected. So you can do this again and again until you get it reinstated. It's not a one and done deal. So if you don't get reinstated, go back and try it again. And when I say try it again, I mean try something else. Change it, fall in line with their guidelines. Yeah. Right. If you don't know what the guidelines are, on this form, they're going to have a link right to it, and they're going to put them right in your face. So check that out. If that doesn't work, we have had success actually tweeting Google. So if you are on Twitter, it's at Google My Biz, Google MYBIZ, and you can send them a message. Keep it short. It is Twitter, right? So just tell them real quick, hey, I'm having a problem. Like, this is completely legitimate. I can't get it through the form and the process. And usually they'll say, direct message us. So it's just kind of a way to kind of ring them up, because you can't call them. Right. You can't send them the email. It's got to be, through this form. And that's kind of the secondary route we've taken when, you just have nothing else to do. There are forums online, through Google support. You can try that. Go for it. We've had really good success on the Twitter end of things, and on the form end of things. So that's kind of what we're recommending. And I would stick with those if I was you. So that's about it. There's actually one more thing that get you suspended. Falls kind of in a different category of if you have multiple businesses. So for a multi-location operation, if in your same account you have, let's say, 3 stores around town, you can get suspended for service area overlap.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we've seen this, a lot of times. This is probably one of the more common ones. Again, it doesn't apply to you unless you have multiple locations. Right. But what you can't do is overlap your service areas. So if you have 3 stores around town, I mean, your stores, if you think about it logically and through Google's eyes, to serve the customers, these stores aren't competing with each other. They're in different markets to serve those customers. So if you try to say each store, let's say they're all within 20 miles, but if you set them all as a 20-mile service radius, for their service area, they're going to overlap severely. Google's going to look at that and say, you're just trying to blanket, everywhere. And that's not legitimate. That's not accurate. You got to tighten those up and make sure they're not doing any overlap. That's something that can definitely get your listing suspended in a heartbeat. Now, if you are running multiple locations, or maybe you're an agency, you have multiple clients, something to be aware of is you can get suspended in 2 ways. You can have your individual listings suspended, so let's just say, again, you have those three businesses in town, and something happens to one of them. That one listing can get suspended, but your other 2 will remain up. That's kind of a best case scenario under the suspension. Yeah. But the more severe option is if until your account gets suspended. So that would be all 3 of those listings would come down at the same time. They only do that if something's more egregious, or if you're kind of a repeat offender, or there's kind of some stacking of some issues. So that's not super common. It's usually just one of them. But if all 3 of them get taken down, you're going to have to go through this process for all 3 of them, and you got to jump through a lot more hoops, and you really got to convince them, that you need to get back in their graces. So hopefully you're not in that situation. If you are, again, these are the 2 steps. Use their form online. And I should caution too, don't jump right to Twitter or right to some of the online forums. If you haven't gone through their
process,
their resubmission form, they're going to push you back there anyways. I mean, that's the proper protocol. It kind of sucks because some of this takes a while, but you have to go through their protocol. Again, at the end of the day, this is all free, and this is Google's game. We're all just playing on their game board. So make sure you do that first and don't try to shortcut the process. Otherwise, they're going to push you right back there, and you're just wasting your time. So that's about it. Short topic, but a pretty relevant one, because if anybody's ever had your Google My Business listing suspended, it hurts, right? So hopefully that helps you guys out. If you have any more questions on things like this that you want us to give you some feedback and drink some beer while we talk about, let us know. Intrix.com/show. We're always looking to help you with your questions and give you some good answers, and see if we can help you out. All right, guys, thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.